Well, good morning. It is July 14th, day 68 on the trail for me. We have a little bit of a road walk. Just got back onto the trail, and from the Rattle River trailhead off of, I think it's US 2. And just a bit of a road walk to get back into the woods for the trail. Plan today is, I think it's about 11.8 miles to the Gentian Pond shelter area. And got a couple of peaks and views, but like I said, like I mentioned yesterday, not as much elevation as what we've been seeing the past week, but the trail conditions are supposed to be just as difficult. So I'll have to see what we get. All right, as always, if I see something interesting, I will grab a picture or some video. But for now, here's what the trail looks like. Crossing the Androscoggin River. There's a dam on the one side, and we're letting some water out right now. Made our initial climb for the day, and we get a little bit of a view here through the trees. On our second climb of the day, a nice ledge here, and you get a decent view. Catching the views, shaving a little breeze. Met a fellow gator on the trail. She just graduated from nursing school. Say hello to Funky Chicken. All right, so we are on Wocket Ledge right now, and we've got a good view south to the presidential range, which we covered last week. Supposed to be able to see Washington from here. Mount Washington, it is. I don't know which one it is, though. Here's the trail right now. I'm not going to try and move while I'm doing this. We got these bog boards with some wetlands in the middle of a pine forest. Alright, so got about a half mile left for our upper Gentian Pond. We got to get closer to the lower Gentian Pond and the shelter there. Keep hoping to see a moose, but no luck so far. This is the Gentian Pond shelter and campsites. Basic structure, nothing too fancy, but it's got a great view. There's the view out to, not sure which mountains they are, but nice view. Down this little path is where we get the water for the site. Wild raspberry bushes right by the shelter. They're not quite ready yet, most of them. But I see a couple here. There we go. There's lots of bees and stuff flying around them. Just I don't know, 100 yards, maybe less, from the shelter is this lower Gentian Pond. And it's a good view here as well. Sort of a bluff on the other side. And the water's flowing down further. Not exactly sure where it ends up. All right, well, we've been here for a while. There's a couple other groups that came in after us, a youth group and then another group of like women hikers, I don't know, maybe from a local college or something. So there's probably about 20 people here at this campsite, 4 through hikers and the rest from those 2 groups. It's a nice site. I mean, you know, great views from the shelter and just from, you know, all around. So that's always nice. I mean, there's so many great views here in New Hampshire, but it's tough to get to them. Tonight is my last night in New Hampshire. We got about, I think, 4.7 miles, trail miles to the Maine border. So yeah, and just tomorrow I'll be in Maine. Our plan for tomorrow right now has us going about 9.8 miles. Got a few climbs in there. Mount Success is the one, and that's the big one. And it's supposed to be a fairly challenging 9.8 miles from here, Gentian Pond, to Full Goose Shelter, I think is the name of it. So we're going to see how we feel then, and then we might press on through to the Mahoosic Notch. And if you've never heard of that, you should look it up. It's basically a boulder field, and you have to sometimes go over the boulders, sometimes you have to go under the boulders. It's sort of a choose your own adventure. You got to get from one end to the other, but there isn't really a set path. It just depends on what you want to do and your abilities. But it's supposed to be one of the more challenging miles on the trail. So far, I mean, in my opinion, that mile coming out of Pinkham Notch a couple days ago, that was pretty tough. Going into the Wildcats, that was a very difficult mile because it was very steep and tough climbs. You had to, you know, I should have trained in, you know, rock climbing for, you know, some of that. But this is going to be a more, not necessarily challenging, but just in time intensive. It's going to take a lot of time to do this because, again, there isn't a set path. So we might do that tomorrow. We might hold off until the next day and do that in the morning. We will have to see how we're feeling tomorrow. So that's roughly what we're doing over the next couple of days. And then, you know, and just start working through Maine. More muddy areas, a lot of boggy areas that we're going to go through, and some of them, from what I've read, you know, looking ahead at some of the comments on this Far Out app, the boards that are supposed to help you over those bogs, some of them aren't very good. And so I'm expecting to get wet tomorrow. Just the way it's going to be, probably. So I'll have to see how that goes too. Who knows? But for now, I'm doing okay. Had a good day today. Wasn't the trail was in pretty good shape for the most part. Had a couple of little slides, but I didn't fall, which is nice. It's always good. It's always a good day when you don't fall. But yeah, it went well today. And I hope the same for tomorrow. Although I know I'm probably, once I get into Maine, probably gonna get. There's this one area that we just know is coming up, and yeah, you just be ready for it, right? Your legs are gonna be wet. Oh well. All right, so yeah, that's about it. As always, if you stuck through to the end, you know I appreciate it. I will see you again tomorrow on the trail.